All right, so we're going to start off with a 7-yard assessment drill. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to put this out to 7 yards. So we use 7 yards a lot because that's the distance that most people can cover before a police officer can get their firearm out and defend themselves, okay? So that's a minimum distance that you're going to want someone to get to you in a bad situation, all right? Someone with a knife can close that distance before most people can draw and fire an accurate round on that person. So this is the closest, like I was saying, that you'd really want to let someone do. All right. 7 yards. We're going to do 10 round drill. Okay. So if everyone wants to load their magazines to 10 rounds, and we're going to be firing in the chest. All right. So when I say in the chest, everyone see that circle in the chest? That's our target area. All right. That's where we want to get those rounds, is into the center of that circle. All right. Please take your time. Don't rush. The reason I'm going to do it this way is because we're going to kind of see where you're at, all right? I'm going to watch the way you're shooting. I'm going to watch what grip position or stances you're using, and we'll address those as they come up. So any questions on what we're looking at right now? So go ahead and load your magazines to 10 rounds. Once you're done, just kind of stand there and I'll know you're ready. All right, so if now everybody faces down range with one 10-round magazine, load and make ready. All right, using a good two-handed grip, I want you to fire 10 rounds, very slow fire, in the center of the chest on that target in front of you, okay? Whenever you're ready, you can commence. All right. Okay, looks good, looks good. All right, so I'm seeing what I would expect to see. Okay, everyone being right-handed shooters, or most of us being right-handed shooters, we're going to see some low left action, okay? So remember upstairs when I was saying we were talking about anticipation? That's what's happening. So the trigger press is kind of rearing its ugly head at you, okay? But we have some good stuff. So everyone hit some in the middle of the target, which means that you do understand the proper sight picture. Very important. So we don't really have to go over that too much. Some people, I'll talk to them and I'll say, "What are you seeing when you're shooting?" And they're like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "But look, when you're looking through your sights, what does it look like?" And they're like, "I'm looking at my front sight post." I'm like, "Okay, but what are you actually seeing?" And what I want them to do is kind of describe this, a front sight post with a rear notch around it, and they're not getting it. So people are kind of sometimes afraid to say that they don't know something. But you can see here, everybody understands the sight picture. You went way too fast, all right? This is slow fire. Take your time, watch your fundamentals when we're shooting, okay? Don't just blaze down range. That's what's gonna happen. From this distance, most of you, at the end of the day, I'm going to want to be able to hit inside that orange square. Okay, so the majority of your rounds are going to hit inside that orange square. That's the kind of accuracy at this distance that we should really be going for, all right, is that tight of a group. And I'll tell you, it's not that hard to do. You just have to do the fundamentals at the right time the same way, all right? So what I'm going to first go over is grip one more time, okay? So I saw a couple of weird examples of grips, okay? We definitely don't want to have our thumbs crossed over like this, okay? That's taking away a lot of traction on the gun. We want to have those thumbs on top of each other with our hand gripping nice and tight around those other fingers. Trigger press. If we're trying to get as accurate as a shot as we can possibly do, I like to use what we call an interrupted trigger press, okay? So as you press the trigger, it's just kind of swings from the front to the back. If you think about how the trigger works, there's slack in the very beginning of the trigger. You guys feel that, right? It's the stuff that you go through that nothing happens to the gun. It doesn't go bang. So that's the slack, the pre-travel of the trigger. What we want to do is try to get through that as fast as possible because it really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do anything at all, okay? So what you want to do is get through that. So we call it prepping our trigger. We're preparing that trigger to be in a position to where we can shoot it. So when I grip my gun and I come up on target, I go through all that travel. I have my finger on my trigger. I pull the trigger to the wall of the trigger where it starts to get a little bit harder. That's the wall of the trigger. That's where we should be sitting, getting ready to finish the trigger press. So we'll call that this first stage of the trigger, okay? That's stage one. On the other side of that trigger, it starts to ramp up, we call it. It starts to get a little bit more pressure or resistance, right? Everyone kind of understand what I'm saying with that? You feel that with the trigger? It starts to build up resistance. On the other side of that is when the gun goes off, right? So we should really focus on that part of the trigger. So what I want you to do is I want you to prep the trigger and go through that slack and just sit there, all right? You're gonna reassess your sights at that point. We're gonna look at those sights and make sure that they're in the right position and they look like what we want them to look like, which is this. We want the front sight post inside the rear notch with equal light on either sides of that front sight post and equal height across the top. Do you guys understand what I mean by that? That's what we want to see. Once we see that again, we can start that second trigger press or that second stage of the trigger press. That stage is important. Everything we do on that stage is going to influence where the bullet goes. Okay, so if you think about it like a car throttle, all right, if I'm sitting, it's a snowy day, pull up to a four-way stop, I'm sitting there in my Mustang GT or whatever, and there's a state trooper parked right next to me. I'm like, if I smash this gas, I'm spinning in circles, right? Think about that's what happens if you go too fast on the trigger. If you go too fast, it's going to misalign your sights, and you're not even going to notice it's happening because it's going to happen so fast. And when the gun goes off, it's going to be in recoil, and you're not going to know where your sights were when it went off. I want you to focus on your sighting condition. Make sure it stays the same way all the way through the rest of that trigger press. So you can't do that quickly, right? You have to do it smoothly in the rear and make sure that that front sight post is not leaving the area where it's supposed to be. Same thing with red dots. You want to make sure that that red dot is sitting right where it needs to be during the trigger press. If you go through fast, you will misalign that sight. It'll go off before you notice you even did it, okay? So this next 10 rounds, what I want you to do is we're going to be aiming for the head, all right? And I want you to try the interrupted trigger press. So right now, if everybody takes their guns unloaded, all right, just take your gun, let your slide go forward. I want you to try and practice those two different, that trigger press, all right? So facing down range, go ahead and bring your gun up, aiming in at the head, all right? Now I want you to go through that first stage of the trigger and just sit at that wall, all right? So right through that first stage, sit at the wall. I want you to back off the trigger again, off the trigger, and then I want you to go back to that wall. I want you to get some reps checking out how that wall feels, okay? So we can very quickly get to that wall. How's it feel?
I be trying to co-opt the red dot
No.
with the sight?
Just red dot.
Just go with the red dot.
Yep. The iron sights are their own thing. All right, so come off the trigger. Now go right to the wall. Perfect. Come off the trigger, right to the wall. So it went off. That's fine, okay? Reset your trigger. We want to make sure that we don't do that, but that's where you want to sit, okay? So let's bring the gun up, and I want you to go right to the wall. All right, yep, put a round in the chamber. All right, so for the next 10 rounds, it's going to be in the head. I want you to do that interrupted trigger press, and I want you to take your time. It should take you quite a while to do this next 10 rounds, okay? Really go to that wall, reassess the trigger, and then press the rest. On you, whenever you're ready. Mark, what'd you think? Did that help at all?
It slows you down.
It does.
Takes some of the anxiousness away from the operation.
Absolutely right. And that's shooting handguns, shooting guns in general is a very mental game. It's really not a physical thing. There's not a lot going on with your body. But if you lose track of what you're doing and the sequence of what you're supposed to be doing, you can have a bad shot. And that's exactly what happens. Prioritizing the fundamentals is going to help you be a much better shooter, okay? Priority 1 is grip, okay? Priority 2 is how you press that trigger to the rear. And that incorporates this interrupted trigger press. This interrupted trigger press is something that we use for a target where we have time to do this, okay? Of course, if someone's standing right in front of me, I don't have time to prep my trigger, reassess my sights, and finish my press. But that ability is going to come with time. At first, we want to get this down and make it something that we are deliberately doing, okay? We're bringing the gun up, making sure my grip's good, take the slack out of my trigger, reassess my sights, slow press. And when you do that, as you can obviously see, your shots are getting a lot better and a lot tighter together, all right? Did you notice when you were shooting how maybe you forgot to do that and the shot didn't translate down range as good as the last round you did? So those are the things we want to notice and say, oh, I know what happened on that round. Remember when I went upstairs and said, you're going to be able to look at your own target and understand what's happening? So if we go low left now, what do you think that is? After this short little period of time, if you shoot low left, what do you think you're doing? Bad grip and going through that trigger a little too fast, okay? If we go through that, I really want you guys to understand this part because this is really pivotal for shooting handguns. If you go through the trigger fast and jerk the trigger to the rear, just accelerated going through the trigger, your sights will misalign very quickly and you will not notice that it happens. You can't see that fast. Okay, so if I squeeze the trigger and my front sight's here, my rear sights are here, and I squeeze the trigger real fast, the front sight gets dipped like that because I'm squeezing the gun and going like this. So it gets misaligned. What happens when we squeeze the trigger? The gun goes off. So I'm not going to notice that my front sight's down here as the gun's recoiling because it's like hundreds and thousands of a second this stuff is happening, so we can't even see it, okay? So we just have to know if we squeeze that trigger too fast, that's probably what's going to happen. So we have to deliberately squeeze that trigger to the rear, okay? That's that slow press. That's stepping on the gas like this in front of the trooper instead of going like that. What's going to happen when we do that? The car spins in circles, right? If I go on the throttle slowly, it's controlled and the car goes straight and the bullet goes straight. So I like to relate the known to the unknown kind of. Does anyone play golf? Okay, golf. Well, there's something with golf, okay? It's follow through, all right? I noticed with you a little bit of follow through. You'll shoot and then look over the gun. Bang, you look over the gun. Bang, you look over the gun. So what that's doing is when you're pressing that shot, you're thinking about looking. So there's a possibility that you can be like this when you're shooting the gun. You could actually be dropping the gun and having your head. You're not even looking through your sights. So that's a possibility of always keep the gun up. The gun goes off. You get your first and second sight picture. Then you can take your gun down, okay? If I fire one round, a gun's going to recoil. I want that second sight picture because I don't know if I have to send another round in a defensive situation. I don't want to shoot and drop the gun. That's going to build bad habits, and then we have to get over those bad habits. Better to get rid of them now and never have that issue. So huge difference in how you shot your. I've talked to a lot of people that have been in situations with firearms where they've had to engage another person, and from what they've said is the first person to accurately get a hit on the other person wins. Like that other person is then reacting to you and what you're doing, okay? If they're shooting at you, you're reacting to them, okay? If you hit them and it's accurate, they're then going to have to deal with that injury as well as decide on how to fight back against you. And you're going to have such a huge advantage that you're going to win your fight, okay? And that's why it's not just getting your gun out and shooting first. It's getting your gun out and putting a round on target first, all right? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you target focused, okay? By making you not be able to see through this dot. But you're going to do something on this that you're going to think is impossible, but it's not, all right?
The force.
You're going to use the force. Where is your red dot? There it is. All right, so I want you to aim that gun. All right, use both eyes. Finger off the front of this. Use both eyes open. Can you see the dot?
Yeah, and I can see the B too.
And you can see, yeah, your left eye's looking at the B, your right eye's looking through the red dot. And it's gonna make you be target focused. So line it up like that. That's what I mean by being target focused. Like you can't look at your red dot now because you wouldn't be able to see the target, right?
Right. If I
So-
look at the red dot, I lose the B.
It's gone. So now I'm making you be target focused. And so your right eye, your left eye is superimposing the image of your right eye on top of each other in your brain, which is crazy to me, but you're going to see what happens. It's going to be pretty amazing. I know people who compete like that with tape over their red dot. Yeah. So if you want to go ahead and grab that gun, we're going to be doing some occluded dot shooting over here. I want you to increase your grip pressure on your left hand. All right. Mark, you're going to be slowing down that second stage of the trigger. All right. And you just keep doing what you're doing. All right. So we're going to test you out a little bit here with a little bit harder shooting. This is going to be 10 rounds inside the number 4. Okay. 10 rounds inside the red number 4. This means we have to take our time. We have to go nice and slow, get these hits. Okay. Slowing down that second stage of the trigger is super important. So take your time, 10 rounds, go ahead and fire. So, okay, we're noticing a couple improvements here, right? A little bit of improvement. So did you notice that when you stopped breaking the sight picture from your eyes, you were doing a new sight picture every time you shot? You're making it hard on yourself. So align the gun, fire the gun, disalign the gun, realign the gun. If you just shoot, it's already there. Just keep going. It's less that you have to do. So that sight picture is still in front of you as opposed to coming back from underneath. Every round has training value, okay? Whether it's a good shot or a bad shot, we can take that information and make our next shot even better. If it was a good shot, we want to duplicate what we just did. And if it was a bad shot, we want to kind of learn from that and realize the next shot, let's not do what we just did with that, okay? So these are all learning times. If you're coming to the range and just blowing rounds down range fast, you're not going to have these little aha moments. You know what I mean? You're going to look at your target after and go, that's a lot of bullets all over the place. I don't know which one was what shot. So this is going to kind of change the way you look at firearms training. Each bullet has value. Let it tell you something. All right. If it has something to tell you, listen to it and try to learn from it. All right. So let's load up. Load up 6 rounds. All right. We're going to do what we call doubles. We're going to start shooting a little bit faster. I'm going to watch those grips start to deteriorate a little bit. All right. So we're going to be doing doubles. What this does is shows if your grip's going to break apart. Okay. This is going to show you if you're holding your gun tight enough. I'm going to get one sight picture. I'm going to shoot 2 rounds. Okay. It's going to be pretty quick. I don't want you to go too fast. I'll probably do it about the speed I want you to do it. But I want to make sure that your grip's not falling apart. If you want, that wasn't really fast, right? But did you see how the gun tracked right back to where it needed to be? This hand wasn't falling off the gun at all. The gun came up and just sat right back down like that. So bang, bang. And the gun just sets right there. It's all ready for me to just to press the shot again. That's the importance of grip. I can hold the gun here and just press a trigger. And if I'm holding it where it needs to be, it's going to fall right back in front of my eye again. I don't have to put it there. So it gives us less to do, which means we can shoot faster and more accurate, okay? I was just making sure the dot was somewhere in the circle. I wasn't really trying to get, overly accurate shots, but that's what we're gonna be trying to do if we have an assailant coming at us, is to get as many rounds in the upper thoracic as we possibly can. Usually 2 at a time is probably a good idea, and that's the kind of the cadence you're gonna wanna do. So if you notice, my hand didn't start slipping off, and after I shot, I didn't have to readjust my grip. Those are a couple things that I look as an instructor. If you shoot and then I have to see you readjust your grip, it's probably not hard enough. All right, you can clear them out. How did that feel? Everyone's grip looked good. I think I harped on you guys enough to really crank down on that gun.
Mentally, you got to remember, keep the gun up, keep it up, keep it up.
Keep the gun up, exactly. What's happening is the interesting parts are happening downrange. That's where the bullet holes are. That's fun to look at. It's not fun to really pay attention to what you're supposed to be paying attention to, which is your sighting system, right? And looking through that. That's no fun. You want to look at your target and see how you're doing. You have to fight that urge to do that, all right? That guy's wearing a t-shirt or a camouflage, whatever he's wearing, you're not going to see where you're hitting him, trust me. He's just going to be running around. You're not going to even know if you're hitting him or not. He's not going to give any signs that he's getting. It's not like the movies where they go, everyone gets shot with their arms flying all over the place. You're not going to know. So you have to trust your sights that you're on target and you're doing what you have to do. All right. So you aim the gun, press a shot. You know if you hit or not because you should be taking a mental picture of what that sight picture looked like the second that gun started to go off. Okay. What we call that is calling our shots. And it's not very easy to do, but it's something that I would recommend trying to do, okay? I like to take a target that's kind of shot up like Mark's right here and put another target behind it. And then I'll shoot and I'll mark down on a piece of paper where I think that round went, okay? How would I know? How would I know where that round went on the target? We should be seeing our sight picture before the gun goes off, right? We're watching our front sight post in that rear notch. As we start through that trigger press, we're looking at that front sight post. If the gun goes off, if bang, the bang of the gun was a word, B-A-N-G, at B, you should be looking at what those sights look like. A-N-G, you're not gonna be able to see it because they're gonna be going up in the air in recoil. But on B, you should be able to tell where your sights were, right? If you're closing your eyes, you're not seeing, and we really have to see. So right as that millisecond of ignition of that primer, you should be taking a mental snapshot of what your sight looks like as it is applied to the target. Does that make sense? We should be that focused on our sighting system that I can see that right before it goes off. If my sights are aligned properly, I don't have to look at my target. I know where the round went. Because I know that if I do the things that I'm supposed to do and it looks like that right before it goes off, that's where the bullet goes. I might be off by an inch, but I'm not off by 6. You know, so that's the importance of really focusing on your sighting system or the picture of what you're shooting at as that gun starts to go off, okay? And if we can hold it there and return to that point every time, do we really even have to be focusing that much? If it's falling right on, I can just keep pushing the trigger knowing that the gun's falling. It's called predictive shooting. I know where the gun's hanging. I know where it's sitting. Just press the trigger. I know it's going to hit in the middle of the target. All right, so that's how we start building faster strings of fire, and that's why it all starts right here with this annoying slow fire, because if we don't get this, there's no way you're going to get that. You know what I mean? You have to get this part first. So it is really focusing on the sighting system, on what that looks like on the target, that trigger press, holding the gun in space properly. So I'm noticing some big improvement here. So I do want to talk about pressures on the gun. Okay, this is to make your gun stick a little bit more in the area where we want to be shooting, okay? Or how do I get my gun to stay steady out there, all right? What I do is I use my elbows to flex on the gun. I'll show you again. If you want to come down here. All right, so if you watch the structure of my body, I'm going to hold my gun out like this, all right? So I'm kind of a neutral position here. If you notice my arms are a little bent, that's what I like to do. They provide a little bit of shock absorption. It doesn't go into my shoulders, all right? When I'm here, I'm going to roll my elbows up and out a tiny bit, okay? What that's going to do is going to squeeze the top of the gun with my hands. I don't have to use any strength at all. Just flexing my elbows out like that pinches the top of the gun. That helps people with mitigating recoil, okay? Some people like to grab the gun here and flex their elbows down, all right? And that pinches the bottom of the gun. So one way isn't right. Both of them will do something. So for this next string of fire, I want you to grab your gun. I want you to try flexing your elbows out, pinching the top of the gun. And then for some, I want you to try flexing your elbows down and pinching the bottom of the gun with the palms of your hands. Does that make sense? When you get on your gun, I think you're going to understand a little bit how that works. So if we flex up, it pinches the top. We flex down, it pinches the bottom of the gun. All right, so go ahead and load up a 10-round mag. We're going to do this dry first, but We will wind up. All right, so if you want to bring your guns up, we're not going to fire yet. We're not shooting yet. Go ahead and bring your gun up, aim for the target. Yep, you can load the make ready, that's fine, but practice flexing those elbows up and practice flexing them down and see how much pressure that applies to the gun. All right, you notice any difference? So it really,
a whole lot less when I bring the elbows up.
yeah, it really steadies the gun. This is called hold control. These are the little tricks that you can do to grip the gun a little bit tighter. How's that feel? A little gun, but you could probably feel a little bit on it.
Yeah, when I go up.
Yep, yep. Mark, what'd you think? Can you feel it a little bit?
Elbows up because your pinkies can grab the bottom.
Yeah.
And this gives you a little more pressure on the top.
Exactly. So you're like if you're crushing a walnut, that's kind of what we want to do to this gun is we bring it in, we crush it like that. It's kind of the same thing as using the palms of your hands to do that. Provides a lot of free energy on your gun. It's really doesn't use a lot of tension. Just bring them up and it really holds the gun in there. So for this next 10 rounds, let's shoot at target. I'm not really concerned with accuracy. Let's shoot the head, okay? I want you to try very slow fire. Don't go bang, bang, bang. It's that you're not getting out of it. I want you to tension the top of the gun. I want you to take a shot or two. I want you to release that, take a shot or two, see how it feels. Tension the bottom of the gun, take a shot or two, see how it feels, how the different ones feel with recoil management. So go ahead and do that. All right, so come on over. The next thing we're going to do is what we call target transition. So this is going to be kind of what you were doing to yourself before by bringing the gun down. This is going to force you to get a new sight picture for each target that you're shooting at, okay? So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be calling out numbers, shapes, colors, stuff like that, and you're going to have to find that on the target and deliver around to that whatever it is. So if I say purple, you're going to shoot one of the purple squares. Okay, if I say 6, you're going to shoot the orange square. Okay, so that's kind of what we're going to do. What this is doing is trying to take what we just learned and make you forget it. Okay, that's really what we're trying to do. We're going to add another layer of difficulty on here that's going to make you have to think about the things that you really need to be focusing on as we're adding something else, which is the target transitions. It's also giving you the idea on how to get a quick sight picture and what is acceptable to hit a certain size target, okay? So if I'm trying to hit inside this circle on the chest, a big circle with a red dot, where does the red dot have to be? Anywhere in that circle, right? And you're hitting inside that circle. If we're trying to hit the number 2, you have to shrink it down a lot more, so you have a lot more thinking to do, all right? It's a more fine sight picture. That being said, if someone's running at me and I have to hit him in the chest, what is an acceptable sight picture for that? Sights are somewhere on his chest, right? So we can learn that that is an acceptable sight picture for this size target, all right? An acceptable sight picture for a smaller target is much finer sight picture, right? So we're going to be jumping around the target doing stuff like that, all right? You're going to be making mistakes, shooting low left, probably anticipating the trigger. As we move forward, try to recognize that, and as you apply to the next target, just don't do that again. Or at least understand that's what's happening and try not to do that, okay? Any questions on this next drill? All right, let's go up there and do it. All right, go ahead and load and make ready with 1 10-round magazine. Our starting position is going to be from the compressed ready or low ready. We're just going to take our gun and bring it in kind of to our center line chest with the muzzle pointed down range. All right, and I'm going to call the target. You're going to bring the gun up in front of your face and deliver 1 round. All right. Does anyone not understand? We're good to go? All right. 4. All right. Orange. Nice. Take your time. Get those good hits. It's the first person to get an accurate hit on target. 3.
Easy out.
3. Shot. Very good. Very good. 5.
Yeah, I mean,
Good. So what do we get with that one, Jason? A little fast?
Too fast on the second.
Too fast. Yep. All right. 2. Bring it up. Prep it. Slow press. Try another one, Jason. Slow press. There you go. It's a big difference, right? All right. Head. Oh, you got to do another one. Slow that way down. Head. One more time. There you go. Try to do that every time, all right? Purple. Trigger down. Slow it way down. 2. 2. Nice. 2. 2. Nice. Come back to that ready position. A. 4. Nice shot. Excellent shot. What do we got? What happened with that one?
I went way to the left.
All right. 6. Good. 1. 2. Nice. Nice shot, Mark. Very good. 3. This next one we're going to do, it's called a bill drill. Okay, this is going to be 6 rounds. Have you ever done this before? 6 rounds as fast as you can shoot. All right. What we're going to try to do is keep our shots inside the box, the shoe box of the chest. All right. It's 6 rounds as fast as you can do it. So grip. This is definitely grip. This is also trigger press. All right. If the grip starts to fall apart, you're going to see your rounds start to leave to the left of the target. All right. If you tighten it back up, you're going to see them come in. I'll show you what it's going to look like. This is not a 2-stage trigger drill. This is a 2-stage triggers are for accurate fire, okay? That's something that we're going to be using if I have a target sticking his head out from behind a wall, something like that. I don't have a lot of room to hit. I have to get that accurate shot. I'm not just going to point and fire 6 rounds fast like that. That's the interrupted trigger press. This is going to be the accelerated trigger press where we just go right through the trigger, okay? How hard do you think you hold the grip? Like, some people will say like, oh, you want 60% with this hand, 40% with this hand, that kind of thing. I like to tell people how hard, it's harder than you think it is. Think about hanging from a chin-up bar with your feet off the ground. You have to hang there. It takes some grip strength, right? You just can't go like this and let your hands fall out. You got to really hold on to it. That's about as hard as you should be holding the gun. After you're done shooting what we call a string, which is what this is, your hand should be a little tired, even after 20 seconds of shooting. That's showing that you're putting enough tension on the gun, all right? If you're done shooting and your hands don't feel at all fatigued, you're probably not gripping tight enough, all right? It definitely helps with shooting quickly, all right? It also helps with accuracy, and it keeps us from pushing left, right? So we're gonna do a step back drill, all right? So we're gonna bring their targets all the way in. So this is called the step back drill. This is kind of a little competition between everybody here, all right? So we're gonna start this at 2 yards, which is 2 cranks. 2 cranks with the crank. We're all gonna shoot 1 round, all right? You're gonna take your time. There is no rush whatsoever. We should all hit somewhere inside this circle on the head, right? From 2 yards. After everyone gets a confirmed hit there, we're gonna do another crank out. We're gonna shoot another round. All right, making sure everyone's kind of on line with the targets down there. We're going to do that until we start missing, and as you miss, you'll just fall off I'll fall off out of the competition, okay? But this is going to be a little bit of pressure because we're in a competition, and very, very accurate fire, especially when we get past this 15-yard line. It's going to be pretty far. We're going to have to really understand what our acceptable sight picture is at that distance, which is going to be a very fine sight picture, very steady, very slow, smooth press on that trigger, right? So this is going to kind of put the pressure burden on you to make these shots, all right? So